Good morning, everybody. Orange J here with another No Kuni Crossworlds video, and today we're going to do a free-to-play tier list for No Kuni Crossworlds. Now, this is a follow-up video to my class guide video, but in this one what I've done is I've really picked what I think are the core skills that you don't get automatically for these classes, and which ones do you need to pay for, which ones are really free to play accessible, and basically which of these classes are going to give you the bang for your no buck in No Kuni Crossworlds. Now, as we jump into the list, I want to start off with my biggest piece of advice. On this tier list, it's going to be this green thumbs up, and it goes straight to S tier. Here it is. You do not need to commit to your main class right when you start. Switching classes in this game is very easy, so you are free to spend the first 20 to 30 levels of the game feeling out a class. If you are unsure what you want to play, unless you've been spending your premium currency or your leveling materials, which you won't need to do for about the first 30 levels, you're free to switch. So if you just want to feel it out for free, I think that's a great plan, and then you can apply the rest of this guide after that for your free to play experience, right? Okay, so that's like big tip number one, play what you want. Now, we're going to talk first here about the engineer. The engineer's core skills. You got Healing Tree. This is a gigantic AoE heal that is acquired from Kingdom vs. Kingdom or from the in-game lottery. So while it's not something you can just get automatically in the game, it is technically free to play accessible. You do get it just from playing the game. That's a big deal, and this is the best heal in the game, it looks like. Yes, you have other heals you can use as an engineer to help you get to this point, which again, that's very free to play friendly, and you have res as an engineer and a party cooldown reduction buff. Those are amazingly powerful skills. You're the only class in the game that has a res, and all of those are free to play friendly. You do not have to pay for them. So I'm going to slide engineer up into S tier straight away. This class, you can get the full experience of this class, in my opinion, without paying $1. That seems like a great deal. Now, the drawback to engineer is that it is a healing support class. It's lower on the damage side, so if you're somebody who wants to do a bunch of damage, this might not be the best route for you to go as a free-to-play player, but if you're into supporting, I think you can do that for pretty cheap in this game. Okay, let's go next, and next up is the Destroyer. Now, Destroyer's main skill, like I'm focusing on only one skill for Destroyer here. He's the tank in the game. You have a skill called Warcry, or at least that's what it was called kind of on the Asian servers, and I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't read what it was written over there, so we'll go with Warcry for now. They might change the translation. Anyway, this is a taunt. Hey, if you're a tank, you need a taunt. That's important. Also, it does a lot of damage and gives the Destroyer a scaling damage reduction buff. Here's the deal with this one. You can buy it, or it's like a very rare drop in the game. When I hear that, it sounds like the game is incentivizing me to just go buy this thing. And putting a core skill like this behind a paywall makes this a very unfriendly free-to-play class, in my opinion. So Destroyer is going to be C tier for me. Now, I didn't put it in D tier. You can still do a lot of things as a Destroyer, but if you want to be like the main tank for your group and some like PvE content, I think you're going to need to dish out some money for this class. That's my opinion. I'll throw them into C, not D, because you get a lot of the Destroyer experience for free, but Warcry is too good to pass up, I think, if you want a main Destroyer. C tier. Okay, what do we got next? Next up, we've got the Witch. Now, the Witch was originally the class that I was just like committing to play no matter what. I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of on the fence between Witch and Destroyer at this point. But let's talk about the Witch. You have a move called Crystal Wave. This is your best like opening skill in a DPS sequence for a Witch. Now, costs money. It's $1. You gotta drop some bucks if you want this, or it's a rare drop. Sort of like Warcry was for the Destroyer, Witch's best opening move can cost you some dollars. You do also have Blink and many of your passive abilities that are good as rare drops or rare lotto chances in the game. keep in mind that for everything I'm saying here, this is not based on the global version because we haven't touched it yet. This is all based from the Korean version of the game. And some things might change, but it looks like if you want to play Witch at full power, it's going to cost you some dollars or cost you a lot of time investment, a lot of grinding, and as a free-to-play player, you just might not make it that far. So for those reasons, I'm going to drop Witch into the B tier. I still think being a ranged damage unit, you can't go wrong. If you want to do damage, like magic damage, have a big spear, you're going to get to have fun as a Witch. But if you want to push Witch into that top DPS spot where it probably belongs, it looks like it might cost you a few dollars, so I'll go B tier. Not as bad for free-to-play as Destroyer, but not as good as something like an Engineer. Okay, let's go next. We've got the Rogue next. So your Rogue is going to be your ranged DPS bow using class in this game. It has a group damage buff that is an insanely powerful skill. You're talking about just like amplifying the damage of everybody in your group, and it's free to play, so that's wonderful. It has a move like Gravity Arrow, and a lot of its moves are rare drops in the game. So will they be hard to get? Yes, but you can acquire them just from playing, so good, not locked behind a paywall. And the important thing for Rogue, here's my deal with Rogue, right? If you want to experience everything this game has to offer, there are some PvP modes. I think a ranged DPS class, a class like a Rogue, gives you some of the most opportunities to outplay some people who might have spent more money than you. Say you're fighting a Destroyer who has wailed out a bit, he's still got to get on you to hit you. I feel like if you're a good Rogue, you might just be able to outplay a little bit of a pay gap. Now, don't get in the comments section yet and be like, oh, that's a joke. People who wail will obviously have an advantage. I know that. I know. Everyone who plays mobile games knows that. If you write that, you are telling everybody that 2 + 2 = 4. But you do have a bit of a window with skill, and I think Rogue gives you the best chance at that window. So I'm going to put Rogue up into the S tier. I think you can just play Rogue at almost its full experience with very little to no dollar investment. So I think it's maybe a little bit below Engineer in my opinion, but an easy S tier. Okay, last up, we've got the Swordsman, who I always save for last in these videos for some reason. Here's the deal. Swordsman is your only melee DPS class. The Destroyer is also a melee class, but he's a tank/DPS. Swordsman is a melee DPS, but he's also got some heals. He's got some buffs, and I want to start by talking about those buffs because he brings some really, really good buffs to your group. Guardian Sanctuary, for example, is a free-to-play buff that's buffs the damage, attack speed, and movement speed of your whole group. Massive steroid, buffs a lot of different things, and it's free in the game. You have Arcane Barrier. Now, this is a very powerful group buff again, but guess what? It can cost you money or be a rare drop. And I just have a feeling that these skills that you have the option of paying for or farming high-level content for rare drops seems like the easier way to get them is going to be to pay. That one is a mark against the Swordsman, and you have Stunning Auto Attacks, which is a passive ability from the Swordsman, where you have a chance of stunning mobs with your attacks. That's very, very powerful, but it costs money. So Swordsman is not very free-to-play friendly in my opinion. I'm going to drop him into the B tier here, right behind the Witch. Now, why behind the Witch? I think the Witch has an easier time because she's ranged, whereas a lot of the mobs in this game have big AoE damage circles that they do. And if you've ever played an MMO, when you're fighting bosses that like put AoE circles right next to themselves on the ground, if you're a melee class, you can be stuck in skill animations, you can be trying to do a damage combo routine on them and have to move and lose your whole combo, whereas ranged classes like Rogue and Witch will have an easier time getting their damage off because they're ranged. That just makes sense. Also, melee classes in manual PvP can be a little bit trickier as well. So there's my tier list. I actually don't have anything into A. I think it looks to me like this. The best thing you could do is feel out which class you want to play. Freud. Which class you want to play. At that point, you can commit, again, about level 30. Then, if you feel like investing a little bit more, if you feel like, hey, I really like this game, I want to support it, then those classes in the B and C tier, they're really good. All the classes in this game do their job quite well, so you can elevate them with a little bit of money, Otherwise, if you want to stick straight free-to-play, I would recommend the Engineer or the Rogue, depending on what you want to do in game. All right, guys, that's gonna be the video today. We're about 24 hours out from launching this game while I'm recording. I'm pretty dang excited at this point. I've got one more little pre-launch video to make, and then, man, we got a lot of game coming our way. All right, thank you for watching, everybody, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.